Because today the government is announcing its latest cost of living support, with 8 million households set to receive a second instalment of £300.
They've also announced an extension to the price cap on bus fares. So let's speak now to the Transport Minister, Richard Holden, who joins us from Westminster. Good morning, Richard. Can you tell us, how will this new payment help struggling Brits?
Well, around 8 million families will receive it automatically over the next couple of weeks or so. This is the second of 3 payments we're making really to help people with cost of living because of those hugely inflated energy bills we've seen internationally, really, since Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, and obviously with all of the turmoil we've seen post-COVID as well. So that's really help for 8 million of the most vulnerable families right across the country. That'll be hitting people's bank accounts, that second payment of £300 over the next fortnight, with a third one in the new year as well. And that's on top of the stuff we're all doing to really practically help as well, with the extension of the Get Around for £2 scheme. That was something we piloted at the start of the year. We've extended it twice, and now we're extending it all the way through to the end of 2024 for buses right across England, and it's really helping families, particularly lower paid workers, and many of whom rely on bus services. And also at the other end, we're also helping younger people as well, often using buses to get to college, university, things like that, and often it's mum and dad who'll be picking up the tab on that. So it's something really practical to help people get around and get on.
Richard, really good to have you on Talk today. Thank you for joining us. Loads to ask you, short fire questions. This £300 is welcome. You say 8 million people. Does that, yes or no, be fine? Does that include pensioners, or is it those on benefits?
This is those on benefits. There's separate winter fuel payments for pensioners. They will be getting that extra support as well. And you'll have also seen earlier this year, we uprated the pension by over 10% as well, to really match those higher rates of inflation that we've seen over the last few years.
Interestingly, I absolutely support your bus fare cap at £2, and I know it was going to be £2.50. You're going to tell me that's money from HS2. I'm going to tell you that earlier on, one of the most widely supported things we've ever done on this brand new breakfast show is the appalling state of Britain's roads. Mr. Pothole himself was on talking about how there are thousands and thousands of people suffering. Why don't you use some of the HS2 money to make our roads better, Richard Holden? You're a transport minister, and then people will be able to drive better.
Well, Jeremy, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. And, you know, those roads also affect buses, motorcyclists and cars and van drivers as well. There's about £8 billion of that money from which would have been spent on HS2 is going to be part of a 10-year programme for improving our roads. That's going to be, the details of that going to be announced in the next few months, I'm sure, by the Prime Minister. But on top of that, what we've also done is, yes, we want to fix the potholes which are there, but I want to stop more potholes in the future, which is why we've launched our plan for drivers a few weeks ago. And one of those big changes that we're going to make is actually make the utility companies, many of whom dig up the roads and are responsible for quite a lot of those potholes. We're really encouraging local councils to adopt something called a lane rental scheme, which basically charges the utility companies for digging up the roads and ensures that they get fined if they don't do it properly, up to £2,500 a day, which also helps reduce some of those roadworks and congestion that we're seeing on our roads as well. So
let's hope that happens.
Both sides of that tackled.
Let's hope that happens.
Sorry?
Richard, just moving on now. The MP for your party, Paul Bristow, he has been sacked by the Prime Minister for calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. He clearly has his own reasons for doing so, reasons that would be supported by many members of the public. Do you think it's right that the Prime Minister is so scared of opposition within his party to his stance on Gaza?
I think what we've got to do here is the government's got a collective responsibility. All government ministers and parliamentary private secretaries, which was what Paul was, have that collective responsibility. I think the truth is we are all, and we've also seen this right across the House with Keir Starmer as well, supporting the government's position here on calling for a humanitarian pause, but not a ceasefire. I want to see aid getting into Gaza, British citizens who are there being able to get out. But that is not a ceasefire. What we cannot see and cannot allow is Hamas to have committed the worst act of terrorism against the Jewish people since the Holocaust at the end of the Second World War, and then say, oh, Israel has no right to respond or defend itself or protect its own citizens. I think the crucial thing here is I want to see a humanitarian pause, but the idea that Israel should not be allowed to respond. I mean, you know, if we'd seen those terror attacks on the streets of London, I remember being here a few years ago as a student when we saw the bombing of the London Underground. Nobody was saying that the UK government should have a ceasefire, lay down its arms and not respond to that. Or after 9/11, nobody said America didn't have a right to respond to the threat from Al-Qaeda.
We do have to learn lessons, though, don't we, Richard?
Important here that we see that. I think it's really important that we see, you know, Hamas for what it is, which is a terrorist organisation.
I think, Richard, I need to jump in. I think the world does see Hamas. It's just how it's done. Final question to you, my friend. Really grateful. I know you're busy. TalkTV exclusive this morning revealing that French Coast Guards let 27 migrants drown in the Channel. This was 2 years ago. Even though the incident unfolded in their waters by Sanguet, a long-awaited official report by the UK's Marine Accident Investigation Board on November the 9th will say, and I quote, Richard Holden, that 30 migrants, this isn't about refugees or economic migrants, phoned the French Coast Guard who went, we're not interested. And it was the British Coast Guard that got there as quickly as they could, but 27 died in the Channel. I ask you this as a minister in Her Majesty's government, what the hell are we doing giving the French 600 million quid when they can't protect people in their own waters and blame the British? It's a disgrace, Richard Holden.
Look, I can't comment. As the Marine Accident Investigation Branch is continuing its investigation. Yes, it is due to report in the near future, but as a Transport Minister and the Marine Accident Investigation Branch comes under my department, I really can't comment until that report is officially made by the Marine Accident Investigation Branch in the next few months.
Well, Richard, we hope you will come back to answer that very question when you can. I'll take that as a promise. Richard Holden, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Richard.